Hey guys, it's Cyrus of Chaos. Today we're here with Olympic bronze medalist and current world number 3 in women's Epee, Muhari Eszter, and we're going to be talking about the results of the Fujairah World Cup. Enjoy!
So first of all, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually ever met in person or even in like this setting, just online.
No, we just like chatted
Yeah.
here and there.
Um, so my philosophy with stuff like this is two people who know a lot about fencing just talking about stuff is more compelling than most people realize. And so if we just kind of chat about the tournament in general and the kind of like post-Olympic epee climate,
Right.
people are very interested in hearing that, like much more so than even I realized until very recently. So,
Yeah, I agree though. I just started watching the video with Matias, the German saber guy, and
mhm.
I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. So like,
Yeah,
let's
exactly. So, I was planning on doing something very similar with you, with the addition of talking a little bit about your amazing result at the Olympics,
thanks. Yeah.
and then also, do you know anything about who has chosen to stay in the sport versus who's chosen to stay and is taking time off versus who is retired?
More or less, but I can only like drive to conclusions based from like whoever came to Fujairah and like whoever like put it out there on social media.
Right,
Um,
exactly. Because you
so
know obviously way more about the epee climate than I do. When I was talking to Matthias, I know a lot about the saber climate, but I'm not
right.
nearly as connected as you are for epee. So yeah, I think the only thing I know for sure is that Vivian said that she was quitting to do something with either the sports ministry or the fencing federation in Hong Kong. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. But then I also heard that she's taking a break from competitive fencing. But then you never know. I'm excited to like see her back on this trip. So I like fencing her and I like her fencing like overall too.
Me
Yeah.
too. She's a wall. Like you try to attack her and it just does not work.
Well, yeah, she's a legend for sure.
Yeah. All right. So similarly to Sabre, if you look at this list, 195 people, is that small for a women's epee tournament?
I wouldn't say it's the biggest. Like
Right.
we usually have the same-ish amount of people over there in the Middle East. Maybe like a
Oh,
little
right,
over
the
200
location.
sometimes. Location matters a lot.
Yeah,
But I would say it's an okay amount of people. Definitely not like the Budapest Grand Prix last year with 350.
right. That's why I was asking. And in men's epee, those numbers sometimes get into like the four, or I've even seen a couple times the 500 range. Like, how do you even fence in a tournament that big? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, especially like in the US, the NACs that I still can't like comprehend, like how is that possible in just one day?
Yeah,
But then yeah, this would like being in 2 days, it's easier,
more manageable. That's true. Yeah, especially because once you get into the second day, it's always only 64 people.
Right.
So, yeah. So, Katrina Lehis was the first person who did not get a bye into the top 16. So about half of the top 33 fencers were either taking a break or retired. And we talked about Vivian already, but do you know if any of the other people are retired or just taking a break?
I might know a couple, but I cannot be 100% sure. Though
Hmm.
it's surprising that even like the 33rd or like Lahis was the first one with rank 34 to not be exempt from the pools. Because I remember last year, just at the start of the Olympic qualification, with the first World Cup, I mean, I think I was 23rd, and I was the last one to be in the top 16 in the competition. So this is surprising, but as you can see, many of like our legends in women's epee are missing,
Yeah,
and I really hope they are just taking a break post Olympics. But yeah, as you said, we know a couple people like Vivian Kong. She mentioned that she would take a break from competitive fencing, though I would love to see her back on this trip sometimes.
me
And
too.
some of the people that didn't come this time, like Malo, and Sarah Song. Alberta Santuccio. Like I saw them like posting here and there. But I'm not like entirely sure if they're stopping. I'm really not sure, and I don't think so.
Yeah,
Because they've already put so much down, but I think they still have the, all the motivation, challenge, everything in them.
yeah, especially in Epee, like someone like Santuccio, only 30 years old. In Epee, you can be really good for a really long time, longer than you can in the other two weapons.
Yeah, I agree, and like even more than that, like Irina Embrick, a complete like a really amazing fencer, I would say, just won the European Championships individual, and I think she is 44 years old, right?
Yeah.
So another legend we have, and she was still back in Fujairah and still earning a bronze medal here in individual. The golden teams, like, oh my gosh, she's really amazing.
Yeah, the Estonians are not much to talk about in saber or foil yet, but in epee they are really good, and they have been for a long time.
They've always been, and especially Tokyo, with the team gold medal. Sometimes when we go to the team event and we're like, oh, the average age of our team is like 20 years old, and the average age of their team is like, I wouldn't say it's a double, but it's close to double that.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Which shows a lot of them. Like they're super experienced, but this means they can live off of that experience, which matters so much in epee.
Yeah. I also heard that there are certain countries that allow you to be a little more flexible with your weapon your tournament selection. So for example, France is totally fine if you take some time off now. It's like do what's best for you. I've heard that the Italians do not allow you to do that. And so the fact that Santuccio was not there might mean that either she's taking a longer break or she has decided she's not going to continue anymore. I don't want to speculate, but that's what I've heard from my friends about Saber for sure.
It might. So I was quite surprised that Julia Rizzi came because I thought she would also be taking a break after, especially after earning gold there in
Hmm.
Paris. And I was like, oh wow, like, and even like the Olympics.com mentioned like, oh, she's like my like because I was ranked like seated first for the competition, and they're like, oh, like Julia Rizzi can be like my top challenger. And I was like, oh, like I'm so happy that she's coming, and but I'm also like, shouldn't she? And also, I shouldn't be taking a smaller break. But yeah, I didn't hear about their system before, and this like surprised me too. We don't have such a thing back home. Like if you don't go to the World Cups, you get punished or something.
Mm. So that's a good point. Why did you make the decision to go to this tournament?
It was never a question.
Okay.
This is not something that I can decide about. I would say it's more like the coaches. But I did make a couple of agreements on the next competitions. Since I live in the US and this was in Fujairah, we have a Grand Prix in Doha, Qatar.
Hmm.
And it's pretty far away and I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
But we'll see how these go. And overall, like, and after all, it will matter for the world ranking and not anything else in this period of time.
Right. Okay. And what was it like, the psychology of it going into the tournament as the number one seed? Have you ever done that before?
No, this was my first time in a senior World Cup. And I was so excited and try to put all the pressure like on the side because I was thinking, should I make this like up in my mind and put the pressure on me after all of the crazy qualification, the process that happened and
It is
after
crazy.
all the emotional roller coaster and then after Paris. And overall, I just decided to just take it easy. And even there in Fujairah, when I stepped on the strip, I had this feeling of like this ease of not having to stress about the points anymore and the qualification. And finally, I could enjoy fencing again. And I fence like myself again, I would say, because back the World Cups just right before Paris were so stressful for me. Even
I
though the
believe it.
qualification was over in April, still I felt like I had to prove that I actually qualified and that I achieved this. But this time, even though I was ranked first, I didn't have any expectations going into the competition, and I could just really enjoy being there for the first time after a long while.
So when you're talking about the qualification, you're referring to the situation that happened with Kun Anna, right?
Yeah, I'm referring to all that happened.
Yeah, that was crazy. The Olympic qualification system is nuts. The thing that happened in women's saber where you have the number, I think she finished the season third in the world and didn't qualify because there was a Greek fencer who was higher than that.
Right.
And realistically, how much more do you have to do? And even if Kun had not been disqualified because of the drug related stuff, it doesn't seem fair that the I don't know. I'm so annoyed by the Olympic qualification system. But
Yeah, I mean they have to be fair about it, which is what I heard. So fair towards all the continents and everyone in the world. This is everything like about 365. That's all over there.
yeah,
Athlete 365. And well, on like one side I understand this, but then on the other side it makes it like super hard, especially for Europeans to qualify. Um, but for everyone overall, it's this like the places are quite limited, and just like Despina Georgiadou, like so many other people would deserve to compete, and because everyone works so hard for this, and I just feel like so lucky and so like I was so overwhelmed about all of this. Now I just feel so thankful and lucky to have been able to compete there in Paris. And then overall, and then on top of that, just getting the result that I got.
yeah, you fenced amazing in Paris. And for anyone who doesn't know, Esther finished with a bronze medal, an individual.
Yeah, I know that was quite a while ago, and it's an awesome story. And sometimes I just like think about it and just nostalgic, and I'm like, oh, that happened too, but life
Ah,
goes on. So now we're back at the World Cups, and I'm just so excited to do this season without having any pressure at all, and any stress. Just a little stress in the trainings and practice as I'm preparing because last semester I took a gap semester. I went back home to train and. For sure, it was 100% just focusing on fencing. And right now I'm back to school, so it's more like a 50-50. And I'm a little stressed about if I'm not like putting enough effort in there. But at the end of the day, I would say, we're not trying to qualify for anything this year.
mhm.
So I'm like, we're okay, we need to chill.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important to take physical and mental breaks, especially after the roller coaster of Olympic qualification.
Yeah, it's very important.
So let's take a look at the results of the tournament. Did anything happen here that surprised you? Because usually in the Sabre events at the early, I'm sorry, usually in Sabre in the early events of the season, there are a lot of upsets, especially from the top seeds.
I would say in Epee, there's a lot of surprises. It's
Yeah,
not just about the rankings. It's, you can be seated like 100 or something and then still make it a 64 or still beat someone pretty highly ranked. So if we want to see like even like the first bout with my teammate from Hungary and then Julia
I'd
Rizzi
see.
with
Yeah.
just a one touch, which probably not a lot of people expected, but I'm very proud of her for doing that. Um, but this also proves how usually the first bout is the hardest one going into the 64. I struggled with that before, and I think um you can get an opponent there coming from the top 16 can surprise you just like that or
Yeah.
like even win over you which happened to me before but yeah I would say definitely non-Olympians beating Olympians is perfectly normal in there and this is also something I have to accept like this was a day when I fenced like on a pretty high level but then it's not going to happen all the time because fencing just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Especially epee, I would say. You're not like always on the top. And like when you're on the strip, you're not like always doing your 100% best. Depends on the day, depends on a lot of factors. But yeah, this is one of the surprising bouts, I would say, with Ritzy. Um,
She also just barely won the second one, but
yeah.
and it's crazy. She may have started a little slow, but she ended up getting second at the tournament, so she clearly picked it up after that.
Yeah, she's so amazing. Like she had a wonderful season last year, And just like coming second, the first World Cup this year, after the Olympics,
Yeah.
all that she went through with the team, and individual too. It's quite impressive. And this also like this like 8-7, 10-9 result shows how the differences are so small in
Yep.
epee. It's like nuances. And just like Nella Differ in the Paris Olympics, she went through the day winning I think if not all the bouts, but many of the bouts by one touch.
Wow.
Um, which I was told after the competition. And this is something that happens, but I think many of the many of the times, the one who wins was supposed to win the whole thing. So I would say it would might be for some reason that this person just like was confused going into the bout and like threw out, but then in the end, like she or he like got to it, like finally understood um the problem in there that had to be
Yeah.
solved. And
I like the way that you just said that because the way that I try to teach my kids in Saber is you're trying to solve your opponent's puzzle before they solve your puzzle. And
yeah,
every touch, they're giving you information, you're giving them information. At a higher level, is it real information that you're getting? Is it fake information? Like, how do you want to hide that from your opponent? What do you want to show them? Like, that's the real fun part.
yeah, I'd agree. And well, I'd say it's definitely impressive if someone makes it to like an equal to a draw, with someone like Julia Rizzi. And after that, I would say it's 50% luck, and then 50% is like if you actually figured it out or no.
Right.
And if like some things like if you're brave enough, if you're like determined enough and that.
Yeah. You may know what to do, but you have to be brave enough to do the action at the end of the day.
Oh, you have to be so brave, I would say. Like this is why for me, for example, I like to do stuff in real life that like challenge me. So I have to be brave on the spot, which makes me be brave on the strip so many times after. Definitely helps a lot.
Hmm. So this is one of the lowest scoring bouts I've ever seen during the new like P card era.
Yeah.
How does a bout happen like that?
Yeah, they not always put the results correctly, but if this is
Fair
right,
enough.
like it would happen, but most of the time it's correct. But this result shows like a very passive bout, and I don't think like either the French or the Chinese girls are like very passive in their fencing, so it's surprising.
Hmm.
But definitely if this happened, it's been like I didn't see the bout, but like a passive yellow card and then like the red card. Um, but yeah, this can also happen, and sometimes they just prefer to do that. It could be like another like technique that they use.
Yeah. Nobody quite feels comfortable attacking.
Yeah, and I don't even know like which one of them is higher up on the rankings. Um because they didn't start
Yep.
from top
Good point.
16.
And they both upset their first round
Yeah,
opponent
yeah.
after
And it
fencing through the first day gauntlet of D's.
yeah, and it's just so important to know your ranking, I would say. Wait, I think is this even? Yeah, it might be right. I'm not sure if the AIN athlete was ranked like 17, so she like made the first. She was the first person after pools
Hmm.
and blah, blah. But yeah, it's I don't know. Mhm.
And the next one, we have several more one touch
Oh, so
outs.
many. Yeah, and just going back to the passive, they changed this rule like a couple of years ago, maybe, and this just makes us fence.
Yeah, do you like this rule more?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It definitely makes epee battles more interesting and exciting to watch. It's just good for like outside people. But when we're there and I'm just not sure if my opponent is higher ranked or lower ranked,
Yeah,
um,
that seems a little bit weird to have to think
and
about.
are we at like a passive yellow? Are we at a passive red already? They've been just changing the rules, like even from like the two passive yellows to one passive yellow and then one passive red, and then after that is a passive back card. Um, yeah, confusing. Definitely have to think about it during the bout. And I had a couple of misunderstandings on that, and I was like, "Wait, coach, like, have you read
Mhm.
it?" the yellow before, like who's higher rank? And yeah, it's confusing. But yeah, going back to the like one touch, yeah, you see it's so many. For sure.
Five of the seven bouts that I'm looking at right here were won by one touch.
Yeah, this is also something makes Epee harder on this side, but on the other side, we don't have to reach 15 to win.
That's true.
So trade-offs, I'd say. But definitely it's more about managing the situation when you're in the bout. Like if it's 10-8 and it's like a minute left, you're probably not gonna get to 15. But there's
Yeah.
also the other part when if like you get like another lead and it's like 11-8, 12-8, and then it's just like the rush. So it's either the rush thing, the one touch thing, or like when it's such a big difference that like it's obvious.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things about Epee scores is you can't tell anything from the score. So, like you said, like this could have been an 11-11 bout until like the last 3 seconds. You just don't know.
Yeah.
This could have been like a 6-6 bout until there were 30 seconds left. Then one person's like you have no idea. It
Yeah,
could have been
yeah,
just a
this
blowout,
is so
but
right. And there can be like some crazy turnovers too. Not as much as in Saber, like
where the
because
clock
of the
doesn't
bubble,
matter.
like from 14 9, it doesn't happen regularly. Or like in teams, as I see a lot of your videos and just like highlighting people
Yeah.
making like huge comebacks, which is not quite possible in Epee, but I would say there's a few exceptions.
Yeah, it doesn't happen as often. So
Yeah.
here, everything's pretty even. Almost all the bouts are very close, except for that one. But the rest of them were all like 5, 6, 7 touch difference.
Yeah, I see. And some of these just beating people in the top 16, I would say, but in the end, I'd still say that at the Olympics, the differences are smaller,
Hmm.
the nuances between fencers. So here, it shouldn't be like that close. Even though like some of the bouts like higher there, up there, or like one touch. And
Yeah.
I think this is also like showing the reality of like maybe Lehi is being that much better in that bout than her opponent, or or maybe just Brovko from Ukraine just beating Xiao by 2 touches. Might not show what they are capable of fencing other people, but it shows like what they were capable of in this bout. And
Hmm.
on that day could change, like it's never the same result in Epee. Like you can win it, and then you lose to the same person.
I
Yeah.
think I think part of that is because, and correct me if I'm wrong, the lead, especially early, is or not so important, but it totally changes the dynamic between the two fencers. Like
It,
if I go up on you 1-0, the bout will evolve completely differently than if we refence and you go up on me 1-0.
yeah. Yeah, this is so true. And we do a couple of drills for that too, like in
Mm.
practice. We would either do like whoever gets the first touch actually versus 2 points, or like just
Huh.
fence to get the first touch, and then you have the priority afterwards if you get it if it's a double, then it's your touch. So yeah, it makes a difference, for sure. But I wouldn't say then that it's done if you don't get the first touch. You can
Definitely not. It
always
just
like,
it
come
just
back.
it does change the dynamics, right?
It does change the dynamics, yeah.
This bout between Guzzi Vincenti and Lehis is probably the craziest 32 bout, or maybe even the craziest bout, like name matchup that I've seen so far.
Really. Um, just in this World Cup.
Yeah, in this one.
Yeah, we sometimes have like crazy matchups when, someone took a break, or just didn't go to the Olympics and didn't get like the double points that
Right,
we
yeah.
get for the Worlds, and then just ranked a little lower than usual.
Hmm.
They just match up with someone that's also completely insanely good. Um, yeah, this can happen early on. And another thing that happens sometimes is when people on the first day um, do bad in pools and then make a big comeback, but they're still ranked so low
Yeah.
that even like someone like ranked number one or two in the competition could get them their first DE match. And this is just pretty annoying,
Yeah, I'm sure.
like you're so high ranked and then you get someone so strong, and then what's the high rank for?
Yeah. Someone whose name I've been hearing a lot also is
Angel show.
Usually they say in epee it takes a long time or it takes longer to get better because it's so nuanced and it's so much about experience. Have you fenced her before?
Not at a tournament, not yet. But we already discussed how we want to fence each other at a tournament soon. We discussed this like probably last year in
Yeah.
Doha. Qatar. Um, but I did fence her at a training camp, and I find her quite impressive. At such a young age. I
She's
don't
not even
think
in college yet.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to do that at that age, even though I always try to like go to the senior World Cups and like starting like probably age 17, maybe um 16. Yeah, so whatever she shows, the patience, the technique, more the patience and like the like being so unpredictable.
Hmm.
And you just don't know what she's gonna do next. And she impresses me like with whatever she puts in. She had a World Cup medal in Vancouver last year and several top eights. And at this age, I
Yeah, it's
really have
crazy.
no words for this. Such an exceptional fencer, I would say. But then this for some people, they reach this level early on, and then for some people they get to the point later. So, it's a difference, but it just shows so much about her and like how she works in fencing, like whatever she puts in fencing. Yeah.
So anything interesting happened in this part of the bracket?
Um,
I heard that Lauren Remby was a very highly ranked fencer like a few Olympic cycles ago.
I don't know much about her. But definitely I think she was Olympic fourth place. And always considered a very strong fencer. And not like surprises here, but this is a harder table, I would say. Like having Klassik there, Bodza, Tierna, Oxenreiter, and also having like these young people like them, and then Conrad
Hmm.
and because they are all very qualified and all of them are tricky and just these people making second day like not mentioning like classic here because she started from top 16 now but like all of these people making top 64 is impressive and then some of the more experienced people here like Estonian and then French and Ukrainian and these are like some hard matchups I would say they're all so tricky and all of these people, all these competitors have their own like little tricks they use. And I just like when I look at the names, I'm like, oh, like I'm so happy I didn't get on this table. Maybe next time I can't avoid it.
How about this one?
Yeah, there's one surprising one is the Italian beating the Estonian.
Yes, in the second
Because
round.
yeah, also she was on the team event, the Italian girl. So I haven't fenced her yet, but this shows like some good stuff there. Like she's capable of doing a lot of things, and I'm so glad the Italians put her on the team
Yep.
because they trust her. I'm happy for her. But no, not many on the other side of. Yeah, I don't really know much about these people.
I'm curious about how the women's epee fencers are in epee. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how the Japanese women's epee fencers are because the men's team is so strong and I haven't heard the women's names as often.
Yeah, so we usually fence them on the team event. And they're also tricky and challenging. Like their footwork is pretty good. They're so fast.
Yes.
Um, they're most of them are French grip fencers.
Hmm.
So they're like more tricky, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're good overall, and just fencing in the pools that they make second day like out of pool sometimes, and I'm not sure what the main thing here is, why they are not like that high, like that top,
Not as
like
cracked as the
finishing
the men's epee fencers
as
are.
much as the men. I'm really not sure why, but it could be a matter of so many things of like the coach, of their training, of their technique, whatever they've been taught since their childhood. This can be so many factors also.
Totally. And here we have a young American who upsets one of the top seeds in the tournament. That's good for her.
Yeah, though they are also my age, so we're all kind of the same age with
Hmm.
Jessica Lin and Ying Yao Tang. So these matchups, I don't think like the ranking matters so much when we're the same age.
Because they may have fenced each other several times from juniors.
Yeah, also, and just like I mean, except in the case with Angel, I would say at
Yeah.
this level, many people know like their knowledge of fencing is the level is similar, so not that many differences.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't say this would be a crazy matchup if we're like such a young age and similar age.
Got it. Anything interesting happen over here?
Just Irina Embrick being Irina Embrick. Uh, she's amazing. Um, well, let's see. And also Julia Belyaeva is another like star that we have still going there strong.
Also
Um,
Estonian.
also Estonian, also mother. Like I fenced Irina Embrick's daughter before. Like
Ah,
it's so controversial, and I'm fencing her at the World Cup.
that's
That's her
crazy.
daughter's satellite. But for example, here I'm so happy to see like my teammate there, Nod, who had a really close bout with Irina Embrick too, and
Yes.
seems like we have another strong Hungarian coming in there, and I'm happy to see that after like a couple of years of like not having many people out there and some people stopping for different reasons. But yeah, definitely happy for her. And then like the experienced fencers just doing their thing. This is when they can really use that experience they've collected throughout the
Yeah.
years and beat people like, like the Chinese girls here are a little younger than them. I would say maybe if we add their ages, the two like the 59 and 6 rank people here could be somewhere close to Belyeva or something.
That's
Um,
funny.
but definitely less experience and yeah, right. So I think it shows too.
And in Hungarian, nudge means big, right?
Yeah, that's right. But she's pretty small and she's still so young. She's in the juniors. I think she's second year
That's
juniors now.
funny.
So
I had a Spanish teacher in high school. Her name was Senora Grande, and she was, I think, like 5'4" or something.
oh yeah.
So yeah, the name doesn't really
Yeah.
match up.
And, we have so many nods out there in
Yeah,
men's MMA. Like
it's one of the most common Hungarian names, right?
yeah, I would say it's the most common one.
All right, over here, definitely some interesting things happened. Uh,
Yeah.
I looked this up before the tournament because this was the first time I had ever written down Kowalczyk's name in a podium, at least in seniors. In juniors, I've written down several times. She was the 79th seed coming into this tournament, which is very epee,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely. And this is another reason why rankings are not always accurate. Um, Kowalczyk definitely, for me, disappeared after juniors and didn't see her for a while. At like definitely not at World Championships or Europeans, but not as much at World Cups. And I'm so glad that she's back because
Mm.
I'm not sure why she hasn't been like out there on the top. She's always been a strong fencer. Last year at the university games, she reached the top four. And now just like winning the tournament, like so impressive,
So
and going through the Polish, American, the
yeah,
Swiss.
she had a hard path.
It's a hard path to Olympians just here to be, and these fencers are all strong. And just like seeing this, she be the American, she be the Swiss, and then the Polish too. Like, and these are like big differences, like 15-11, 15-9, and then 15-10 are these all show that she understood the assignment like early on. And also with me, she had like a lead early on in the bout, like a 2-7, 2-8 maybe.
Yeah, you were the closest bout she had the whole day.
Yeah, I saw that like in articles too.
Yeah.
It was quite close. But she definitely she is impressive, very qualified, and had a good day on the same time. Like in Epee, it's like whenever every like all the stars just like are all together,
Yep.
everything just works out, and yeah, this happens. Um, yeah, like on my table, I didn't really look at it going in there in the competition, just like bout by bout, step by step.
Is that
Um,
how you like to approach the tournaments? Don't look at the tableau?
I don't always look. In Paris, I looked, and I kind of knew
You
what I
kind
was
of
getting
that's
into.
a little different. You want to calculate yourself what's about to happen.
Right, but not at the World Cup. So it's also to just like not stress about it and to just like, just always take it one step at a time and just focus on the next opponent. Don't make assumptions in your head like, oh, if I beat her, I'm gonna lose to her. If I like lose to her, like, whatever.
Yeah,
Go
there's a
mentally.
lot of thinking that could happen that's not relevant to what you're doing right now. I actually have a funny story about myself. The last time I looked at the table beforehand, I remember it was at a regional tournament and I saw that I was supposed to fence someone I thought was pretty easy in the first round. In the second round, I saw I was supposed to fence like the one person in the tournament who I knew I was going to have a really hard time with. And I was thinking about that so much. I ended up losing my first round match. And it turns out I had looked at the tableau wrong. Like I,
Oh,
right, exactly. So like I, for example, was like here and I saw him over here and I wasn't even fencing him next and I lost. And I was like, well, that's the last time I'm ever doing that. So,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm in the same boat as you, and I try to get my students to not look at that stuff as well
Yeah.
because it doesn't help you.
That's very smart. It doesn't help. It's just, it's like unnecessary stress if you're like scared of someone, which is not the best thing to do, like at a fencing competition to be
Yeah.
scared. Well, you like already lost the bout, kind of.
Yeah.
If you're not like out there being more brave than your opponent. But definitely went through this in Paris. When I saw like my DEs and like who I could get because someone I definitely knew I had a 0% win against was Sarah Song going in there. And I was never afraid, which I found like so surprising about me.
Hmm.
Like at the Olympics, like I didn't even have the thought of losing. So it all dep like it's a matter of like mindset and like how mindful you are. And this is another reason why I respect like Julia Rizzi so much. On social media, she goes out there about mindfulness and just like mental health and everything like that. She cares so much about that. And I think this is like a huge deal when it comes to her being so successful on the international stage.
Hmm. Got it. So the medalists in this tournament, Ritzi, we talked about that already. She was one of the top seeds. Emrich, also one of the top seeds coming into this tournament. And then you have two surprises in the form of Remri, who was doing really well a few seasons ago, and this was a good show of why she was doing well before. And then you have Kowalczyk, who came out of nowhere, and I looked up her results before this. The previous tournament she went to was a satellite, which she won. I think it was in Ireland, and that was her first World Cup medal in seniors. And then the next one, or sorry, she got third place. And then this one, she won the whole tournament, which is crazy.
It's so crazy. And I would say this shows with the two people, like 50% being like higher ranked or like more like, like they could win the competition. And then the other two people are more like they wouldn't have a chance based on the rankings
On paper, yeah.
on paper. And this is what epee is. We usually have like one or two people there who are like very experienced and like super highly like likely to win or to get a medal, and then surprises all the time.
Hmm.
When it's all about the one touch, sometimes it goes for her, sometimes it go for her. So yeah, definitely. I think if you check back on the results from last year, even at the World Cups and GPs, you can see like there's always someone not a surprise, and there's always surprise there. So definitely never goes as the paper shows.
Right, that's epee. It's something the tennis commentators say a lot. They'll say like, "Well, on paper, this guy should win," and a common response to that is tennis isn't played on paper. And I
Right.
I think that all the time when there's like a crazy upset, I'm like, "Well, fencing's not played on paper, so
No. And especially Epee, you never know like who's gonna win. Like even though everyone's in like such high quality and going into the competition, they're like so well prepared and all that. It's these small nuances like one touches and all that, and the build up of the bout that makes such a big difference at the end of the day.
hmm, awesome."
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about the tournament in general?
Well, we had so many people missing, um, and there were so many new people too that we still have to get used to, especially younger fencers, juniors coming up and bringing a new style or just different continents showing up there, like different countries from different continents showing their technique and creating something new. And we just now have to learn about them more because we were used to the people from the last cycle, how they fence, what they show up, what they show on the strip. And now I feel like maybe like if this is like the amount of people we had and it's like cut off and we have like a new set and now we have to like learn all that new information
Yeah.
and like just getting used to that will be a process and definitely will not come easy. Um, and there'll be so many surprises in the next World Cups. Higher seeds like losing early, which usually happens in Epee. But I think new names, just like Kowalczyk, like kind of new name. Like I've known her for like half of my fencing career because I fenced her back in like 2018 at the Sochi European Championships,
Hmm.
individuals. So like, these people who've either been like disappeared or just new names or juniors, just like making surprises and getting medals out there. I'm so sure this will happen soon.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Good luck at the is it the UPenn Invitational this weekend?
Oh yeah, this weekend we have an invitation and then we have the Vancouver World Cup after. But yeah, it's been so nice to talk to you. I never knew you, so it's like
Yeah.
I'm just others like seeing the post and like you actually exist. So,
That's
so
funny.
yeah, if you would go to like an epee tournament, because I knew you went to like Saber once, not epee. We'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I still work as a coach, whenever I go to one of these tournaments, I have to take several days off, so I have to be very mindful about which ones I'm going to. And I think I should probably pick one foil and one epee World Cup to go to a year, just so I can kind of diversify a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
besides like Saber World Cups, there's a lot of emotions too at like epee and definitely at foil too. So it would be worth visiting.
yeah, I agree. And I will consider doing that if there's a good tournament that has both men and women and it's in a
Oh,
location that's easy for me to get to.
just like Vancouver, I'd
Yeah,
say.
maybe. Vancouver's very far west, but
Oh,
something to think
yeah,
about.
yeah, but it's still closer than Fujairah.
That's true, for sure. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go edit this right now.
I'm so excited.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you for asking me. I was happy to help.
Yeah, very
All right,
happy. Anyway, good luck this weekend.
thanks. All right, see you.
Ciao.